Springboard Roadshow Foundation, in partnership with the MasterCard Foundation and Solidaridad, present CoRe, the COVID-19 Recovery and Resilience Program.
Welcome to the CoRe program, and I am Alexander Bankofe Williams, a presenter for today, and I work at the University of Ghana Computing Systems as the head of the Assistive Technology Unit, and I'm a totally blind person. And this day I'm here to share with you on the topic turning challenges into opportunities, particularly when the world is finding itself in what we define as the new order. Now, in relation to this, we'll basically look at using the experiences of persons with disability, particularly blind persons, and how they have adapted to change, how we can ensure that we turn what we see as our challenges into opportunities to move us to the next level of progress. So, in the first place, basically, when you want to look at what a challenge is, there are different definitions of what a challenge is, but looking at it within context, you would generally want to see a challenge as any situation, mostly unpleasant, that confronts your means of operating or your way of living, or that confronts how you ought to be in a negative manner. How you respond to the challenge you are confronted with is what becomes a positive game changer or a negative game changer. That determines whether you go down an abyss or you climb up to Mount Everest and shine. Taking my life experience as a blind person and also being in the industry where I've had to counsel a lot of blind people, I would quickly indicate that I was not born blind, but I became blind at the age of 12 years. And I actually have thanked God afterwards, because my life has turned for the better since I became totally blind. And my life is not the only one that I can share such stories on, but several other persons who have become persons with disabilities. And you want to connect this to the situation we have been confronted with under COVID-19, where people's means of living have been challenged. The means through which we acquire education has been confronted with a great deal of challenge. The means through which we have operated as employees or employers has been confronted with a great deal of challenge. And if you respond appropriately, you would sail to success. It is often said that the only thing in life that is constant is change. So if you are ready to adapt to changes, then you are ready to swing on to higher heights. How do we turn our challenges into opportunities? Because it is obvious that challenges do come. And as I indicated, I was born somebody who could fully see, but later on became blind at age 12. The fact has it that out of 5 children, whilst being a sighted person, that's somebody who could see, I was the poorest in education so far as my other siblings were concerned. But flip situations, I become blind, and certainly I become the brightest. In fact, I become the first to graduate with a university degree and a second degree. That's first degree and a master's degree. I will give you another story. So I have had opportunity to counsel one other person by name Jones Odami, who was also born sighted, was trained as a teacher, graduated with certificate A, certification in teaching, and was working comfortably as a teacher till he became blind. Somewhere in 2007, 2008. And when he became blind and was brought to me, the first thing I told him was, well, we thank God for making him blind, and that he was welcome to the blindness kingdom, as even the dead sought an increment in their population. This gentleman found this saying quite shocking and repugnant at the time. But he's always remembered it to date, because guess what? After he became blind, as I said, a teacher, as a blind person, he now moved to the university to study for his first degree. That was not enough. After his first degree, he moved on to do his LLB. As we speak today, he's moved on to the law school and he's writing his final exams to be called to the bar as a lawyer. Prior to this, his best aspiration was being a teacher. It's not that it's bad to be a teacher. I'm a professional teacher. But after he became blind, he aspired to higher professions, and he's achieving it. It is because of a few things. And that is why whatever COVID-19 has thrown at us, whether it has affected your job, your education, or whatever situation you find yourself in negatively, how you respond to the manner in which it has affected you is what matters. And we look at what we can do as individuals, finding ourselves in what we deem such challenging situations, to find opportunities in those situations and move on to the top of Mount Everest. The first thing you would have to do is accept your new position in life. So it doesn't matter the way you were functioning, it doesn't matter the way you were operating. If COVID-19 has caused you to lose your job, if it has caused you to drop out of school, if it has affected your family in whatever negative manner, the first thing you have to do is accept your current state. So I could only make it, Jones or Dami could only make it when we all accepted the fact that we were being blind. There is another person whose name I don't want to mention on record, but that person was actually a professional teacher, became blind, and spent 4 years chasing his sight, seeking to become sighted, to the extent that the individual lost their position on the payroll of the Ghana Education Service. When all the person had to do was accept being blind, go through rehabilitation, and return to his normal teaching duties. So accepting who you are, what you have become, is crucial. When you accept who you have become, and you find yourself in what you might define at that moment as a hopeless situation, you need to begin to look for hope within your hopelessness. So I say, find hope in hopelessness, because hopelessness was possibly defined by what you consider to be the norm at the time based on the knowledge you had. So Jones, till he saw me or met with me, did not see life as being worth living as a blind person. But when he saw me and saw how far I had gotten, he realized, even as a blind person, life had only given him another opportunity on a better page, which he had to take and move on. And once he accepted that and saw the hope in his deemed hopeless situation, the next thing you do is being willing to adapt. So what has COVID-19 thrown at you? All you have to do is being willing to adapt. Even if you have become a person with disability today as we speak, All you have to do is 1, accept your new state. 2, be determined to find hope in what you deem your hopeless state. 3, be willing to adapt. You cannot continue to do things the old way. So Jones could not continue to live his life the way he could live it as a sighted or a seeing person. He needed to be willing to adapt. That meant acquiring certain relevant new skills. How were blind persons able to read and write? He needed to acquire that basic skill. How were blind persons able to move about in spite of the fact that they could not see? He needed to acquire that basic living skill. And once he did so, he was able to move on. And that is how I have been able to move on. Now, once you are able to adapt, the next thing that should guide you, whether you were in the field of education, employment, or what have you, remember the maxim, what we say about the Americans. We say Americans show that the American government shows that it has permanent interest and no permanent friends. Actually, that is life for us. Mostly, majority of the people we have around us have a permanent interest and do not have us as permanent friends. So, if you adapt in life, be guided by one other significant factor, that you want to keep your relevance in life. So were you an employee? Were you an employer? Were you running your own business on the small scale, medium scale, large scale? Whatever it is, how has COVID-19 hit you? How has disability hit you? Be guided by one fact, that you would do something to keep your relevance to whoever is around you, to whatever entity you serve. That would mean acquiring new skills, adapting to new ways of doing things. Because what you want to do is to remain on the list of priority. I am where I am today. I do the kind of things I do, speak as a motivational speaker, serve as a mentor to several persons with disabilities. I advocate in the disability landscape, not because I'm the only blind person who has gone through education, but I have taken advantage of the situations that I have found myself in to sharpen my skills and remain relevant to the cause of the right of persons with disabilities. So in the arena of disability, I am on the list of priority, such that if people want individuals to deal with or handle issues in the arena of disability, I am consulted all the time. Once you're able to do that, you do well. But quickly, to run through a few other things you have to do, first and foremost, be honest with yourself in relation to what you have become. You need to look at your strengths and your weaknesses and then make a determination as to the way forward. Be open and be ready to make amends in relation to how you would move forward. In conclusion, in getting to the top of Mount Everest, you will not get there by jumping. You will only get there by making one step after the other. That is what Robin Sham says. And that is what you will do to shine in spite of the challenging situation you find yourselves in. Thank you very much for listening. You can find this presentation on core.com.gh, and also feel free to WhatsApp us on 055-153-5533.
A presentation of CoRe, the COVID-19 Recovery and Resilience Program.
Back to the basics. I brought one hour down so many times you don't want to even get up and just face it. You've been doing your best trying to test every